Okay, so I'm making this video because I'm very angry. I'm supposed to be asleep right now. I went to bed and I couldn't fall asleep because I was angry. And then I decided to watch a video about the thing I was angry about, and that video just made it even worse. And I ended up punching some things, and I think I might have broke something. So this video, you should be able to see it on my screen, is from some channel called Catholic Answers. And the first time I haven't even looked at the video of this yet, because I was listening to it when I was trying to go to sleep. I didn't actually watch the video, but I did listen to it, and it really pissed me off. So I'm gonna just start playing the video, and then I'm gonna respond to it as I've listened to it for the second time.
Very good call. 34 after the hour. This is Catholic Answers Live, going now to Houston, Texas on Guadalupe Radio. It's Father Victor. Hello, Padre.
Hello. Hi.
Hey.
Thank you for taking the call. I had a question about, I was taking a Bible study on Exodus on the golden calf, and a girl asked a question about the passage, whether it says that Moses is quoted as saying in verse 27 of chapter 32, thus says the Lord, and basically he goes throughout telling everyone to kill people. And so the question was, why did God ask Moses to do that?
Right.
That he's contradicting himself.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in right there. The reason God told people in the Bible to kill people is because he is evil. That's the reason why. That's it. It's because he's evil.
Yes.
Because of the Ten Commandments. So I just wanted to hear your response to that.
Yeah, this is a really, really good question, and thank you for asking it. In fact,
Okay, so let me ask another question. Why is it that there are so many stories in the Batman comics of Batman just killing just innocent people all day long? Why are there so many stories about Batman just going up to just committing genocide, killing so many people? I mean, there's these parts of Batman comics that say that Batman's just an amazing person. He's such an amazing person. But then there are so many stories about Batman just killing people for no good reason. Why is that? That's such a good question, isn't it?
in fact, this problem resurfaces all over the Old Testament. And here's what I would argue, Father, is that God, and I use the approach of St. Irenaeus, when St. Irenaeus was dealing with Marcion, who of course had a very difficult time with more than just these texts, but the Old Testament in general. In fact, he saw these as so radically different from the New Testament that he believed, as you know, that there was an evil God of the Old Testament, or
Okay, there you go. Problem solved.
principle, and a good God or principle of the New Testament, and never shall the twain meet, right? Well,
So I'm looking at the comments. When I got really pissed off about it, I wrote a really angry comment to this guy, and it looks like it already got filtered. I was going to read it for you, but I think it's gone. Let me see, how many comments are on this? There are only 83 comments, so I should be able to find it if it's there. Hold on.
Irenaeus says, no, it's not God who changes from Old to New Testament, but it's man who changes. And he uses the analogy of a father.
Yeah, it's gone. I'll probably write him another one. Anyway, let him continue.
Raising a family. And now I've got 6 kids, Father Victor, and I can tell you, I do not treat my 2-year-old or my 4-year-old the same way that I treat my 11-year-old.
Okay, so what he's doing is he's saying that the reason God is murdering people, committing genocide, condoning rape, saying that all these terrible things are okay, condoning slavery, all these different things, these horrible things, the reason that that's okay is because he's trying to mature his people. Because he's trying to mature them. He's going to start out doing it this one way, and then eventually he's going to change over time, and he's going to start using different methods as his people mature. That's his argument. That's his position.
Right? And you certainly don't treat your 17-year-old the same way.
That's his that is his justification for genocide.
You treat your 4-year-old. You start, spanking your 17-year-old.
Yeah, so it's okay to murder your 4-year-old because it's a 4-year-old and it can handle it.
On the rump, and we've got real problems. But there are times that you need to not spare the rod. Let's just put it that way. And so what St. Irenaeus is saying is that God is taking an ancient people, a tribal people, out of a very barbaric time, and he treats them a certain way. He does things that would seem odd in a New Testament setting. Why?
Oh, odd. Why would it seem odd? I don't know. Maybe because he's murdering people?
Because he grows these people up. And remember...
He's growing the people by telling them to go out and murder and pillage and rape people. Yeah, he's definitely growing them.
A very important principle, Father, is that God respects our freedom. God established Adam and Eve.
God respects our freedom. Okay, so is he respecting the freedom, the free will of the people who he had murdered by his own people? Is he really respecting those people's freedoms? Really?
In the garden as free. They freely chose to reject, which led them into sin.
They freely chose? No, Eve freely chose, not Adam.
And to darkness, but God does not...
Evil did not enter the world through Adam. It entered the world through Eve.
Immediately come in and give them the fullness of the revelation that
according to the Bible
we have in Jesus Christ. But he gives them, as the inspired author of Hebrews says in Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1, God who spoke in various and partial ways in the Old Testament has now fully spoken by a son.
So when he was... going about telling his people to go out and murder and pillage and rape. That was just the first part of his story. That was just the first part. You have to look at the entire story, because what happens thousands of years later changes that somehow. No, it doesn't change it. It fulfills it. It makes it better.
His son. He's given us the fullness of the revelation. And so God deals with them where they are as an ancient people. And that means...
So because they're an ancient people, that means it's okay to murder.
Sometimes it needing to spank them on the rump, so to speak. Or
Spanking them on the rump is equivalent to genocide.
Do things that appear odd to us.
And odd to us? Wow.
In order to...
You call that odd? Okay, There's this video that I watched recently where it basically just has a video game music back on the background, and it has a video game display, and it shows all the different people that God murdered, and it has a counter that's constantly going up, and I think it ends up at 2.4 million people that God murdered, not including Noah's flood, not including times where he murdered people where there's not an actual specific number of people given. No, these are just the people that are actually numbered as being killed by God, and it gets up to 2.4 million. Let him continue.
Raise them up. And over time, we see, even in the Old Testament, God raises them up. We can use other examples like divorce, where Moses permits it there in Deuteronomy 24, 1 through 4. And yet later on, hundreds and hundreds of years later, in the book of Malachi, God says, I hate divorce. He, even in Deuteronomy, forbids divorce and remarriage or many wives to kings and so forth. And so we see the seeds there.
Okay, so 4 Kings, what? Okay, so there's a story in the Bible. This is just one of the many gems that are in the Old Testament of God killing people for no good reason. This is one of the many gems that represent God spanking the 4-year-old on the rump. So this is from a site called gizmodo.com, io9.gizmodo.com. So a guy named Eliseus was traveling to Bethel when a bunch of kids popped up and made fun of him for being bald. That had to suck, and you can't blame Eliseus for being pissed and cursing them to God. But God had Eliseus's back, by which I mean he sent 2 bears to maul 42 of these kids to death. Yeah, that's real good move, God. That's definitely growing your people for making fun of a bald dude. I have to think Eliseus was looking for something along the lines of a spanking, exactly, or maybe the poetic justice of having the kids go bald. But nope, God went straight for the bear murder. But on the plus side, that pile of 40-plus children's corpses never made fun of anybody again. Good job, God. You murdered 42 innocent children because they made fun of a bald guy. Good job. You're definitely doing an amazing job of completing your story and writing just an amazingly beautiful story that starts off with that kind of stuff and ends with Jesus dying on the cross. What a marvelous story.
Where God is elevating the conversation, but at times it was necessary in dealing with...
It was definitely necessary to kill those kids.
These people...
And of course, that's just one example of many.
Deal with them in very...
I've got freaking 12 of them just sitting right here. Oh, yeah, so because Lot's wife decided to look back when God said no. Okay, bye-bye. You deserve to be murdered. You deserve to die because you disobeyed me once. Oh, yeah, and Adam and Eve in the garden, because they made one mistake, because they disobeyed him once, they get to burn in hell. They get to roast in hell for all of eternity because of that one thing. And so does the entire human race because of that. Hating ugly people, I don't know what this is talking about. Oh, yeah, so he basically condemns to death people with blemishes, people who are blind, the lame, those with flat noses. Does he kill these people? Oh, he doesn't want these people coming into his churches. So yeah, if you have blemishes, if you're blind, if you're lame, if you have a flat nose, whatever that is, if you're a dwarf, if you have scurvy, if you have bad eyes, you're not welcome in God's church. Know that. You're not welcome there. That's in Leviticus 21:17 through 24. And don't tell me that Jesus came to abolish the law, because he told us exactly the opposite of that. Don't try to tell me that. Okay, trying to kill Moses. What is this? You think Moses would be pretty high? I would love to just make a list of all the people God killed. Just like this one guy did in this other video. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull up this video. Come on. Where is that video at? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. I'm just gonna make a list. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I gotta make this video here and do it better. Okay, so here's Lot's wife. This is the first one that's specifically mentioned. So this video goes, okay, so in Numbers 16:41 and 45 through 49, 14,700 people think God is killing too many people. So God kills those people. I don't know what the story is. I don't really care. All I care is that he killed people, because that's all that really matters. If he killed 14,700 people all at once, you're probably the bad guy. Oh, so he sends a plague killing 24,000 people. Okay. Oh, I love this one. Numbers 31:7 through 18. God orders the killing of Midianite men, women, and boys, except for the virgin girls. I wonder why that was. That's confusing. My question is, okay, why did God in Numbers 31:7 through 18 kill everyone except for the virgin girls? Why did he do that, Pastor, at freaking CatholicAnswers.com? Please answer me that question.
Stern.
Why? What was it about the virgin girls that God felt didn't need to be destroyed? What was it?
Ways, and that's what we see there in Exodus chapter 32. Does that help at all, Father?
Yes. Thanks a lot.
Oh, that helped. Yeah, I'm sure it did.
All right, I appreciate that.
So glad
call.
he said yes.
Oh, he's so glad he said yes. He's so glad because he knows it was a terrible answer. And he's just so glad that he doesn't have to work harder to make excuses for his pernicious God.
Yeah, and because I will say this, there are a lot of folks today And I know among scripture scholars who are saying, well, Moses, it says, thus saith the Lord, but it's not really the Lord, and the Lord would never do these sorts of things. And I think that's very, very problematic when it comes to...
Oh, yeah, that's problematic, all right. Can't have your God going off killing people, because, that might be a bad PR issue.
The inspiration of Scripture, and then once you open that can of worms, well, then what do you do with Ananias and Sapphira in the New Testament?
Whoops. Forgot I let that one slip. My bad.
Right? What do you do with the whole concept of eternal damnation and punishment for sin?
No, let's not talk about that. Let's not go there.
And so forth. What do you do with Job? What do you do with the fact...
Oh, yeah, Job, I love that one. He literally... It was a freaking outrage. The whole purpose of Job is just to inflate God's ego. The entire book is just God letting Job be tortured so that God's ego can be boosted up a little bit so that he can win a bet with the devil. That's freaking just horribly evil. And he literally allowed Job's family to be murdered as well. I mean, obviously that's not even anywhere, just a few people isn't anything close to what God's capable of. But, I mean, for people like us, just murdering one or two people is really, really bad. But, of course, that's nothing for God.
Allows a thorn in the flesh. In fact, 2 Corinthians chapter 12, St. Paul says, God sent the messenger of Satan to buffet me.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And, yeah, I'll go ahead and bring this up. How many people has the devil killed? The ones in Job are really the only people in the entire Bible who the devil killed. I mean, I guess you could argue the herd of pigs in the New Testament, but that wasn't really the devil. Those were demons. But yeah, I mean, God has at least 2.4 million kills in the Old Testament. Yeah, in the Old Testament. And Satan maybe has 10? Yeah.
I mean,
the devil's definitely the bad guy, guys. He's definitely the bad guy.
I think, Patrick, it's very, very dangerous when we begin to move God away from real time, our real lives, and understand that God is the source of everything. He's not the first cause.
What is he even saying right there? I don't even know.
Of any moral evil. Don't get me wrong, but God is in control.
So who is? Excuse me. Who is the first cause of moral evil, or whatever it is you just said? Let me guess, the devil? Or is it Eve? I don't know. I mean, seems to me like God's the one doing the murdering.
And when we move him out and say, oh no, God couldn't be, God couldn't be, God couldn't be, I mean, we end up with a distant God that's no longer really involved in our day-to-day lives, and that's a very dangerous thing.
Rabbi Harold Kushner wrote a book in the 70s called When Bad Things Happen to Good People, and he tells a heartbreaking story of his own son who had progeria, that premature aging disease. And as I recall to him, the good rabbi makes a terrible conclusion that God really can't do much about it.
Absolutely.
Outside his divine hand.
And so God's omnipotent, but I mean, he's just forced by, I guess, free will to just kill so many people in the Old Testament. He's just forced. He doesn't have a choice. He's the victim here.
You find that in liberal Protestant circles as well. You end up in a Unitarianism, or, God would like to help if he could. He's just really...
Yeah, he would love to refrain from killing people, but he just can't help it. He's just so helpless. I mean, he just has to kill people.
So-called. He's smart. Don't get me wrong. He's a good guy. All right, 1-888-31-TRUTH. This is Catholic Answers Live.
I don't even remember what part it was about this that pissed me off earlier. I guess I'm over it now, so I guess you don't get to see that part of me. But yeah, the comment I left this guy was basically along the lines of F you. I wish he was still here. I guess YouTube flagged it though. But it was in all caps. And it basically said, you know what, I'm going to write it again. You're going to see this. This is going to go out. So I can't actually, this is probably going to get flagged again. But you can see this on my screen. What did I say? I'm gonna finish this right here. Oh yeah, that's right. You are worshiping a god. There's only one P in worshiping. God of genocide, and are using the tactics. That's what it was. You are using the tactics of North Korea and Nazi Germany to make excuses for him, because that's exactly what they're doing. Oh yeah, that's right. Words cannot describe the depth of your filth. And I'm having a difficult time typing that because I'm holding down the shift key instead of the caps lock, because that makes me feel better. Okay, FU, you are worshiping a god of genocide and are using the tactics of North Korea and Nazi Germany. You know exactly what I mean by that. To make excuses for him. Words cannot describe the depth of your filth. That's what I sent earlier. I don't see it on this comment stream anymore, so that probably means that YouTube filtered it. So you know what? I'm going to do a star here. Maybe this one, maybe taking out the U in there will keep it from getting flagged. Okay. I don't know what happened to it. Wait, this thing says 38. I thought it was 83. Hold on. What is going on here? Okay, so this one on my phone, it says it's 83, but this one says 38. So I don't know why the discrepancy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and send that. So you can see that on my screen, right? You can see that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the comment button, because that is the truth. That's what's going on here. This guy is using the tactics of North Korea and Nazi Germany. This guy can look at literally any wrongdoing. Why is this full screen? What just happened? This guy can literally take any vile, corrupt, horrible, evil deed, and if it's done by God, it's automatically justified. Because you know why that is? Because God is the epitome, is the definition of moral good. There's literally nothing he can possibly do that's bad. Every single thing he does is good. Why? Because he makes the rules. He is the rules. It is impossible for him to do wrong, because he is pure righteousness. He is all loving. He is all good. He can't do anything wrong. It's impossible for him to do anything wrong. Therefore, it must be justified that he commits genocide, that he murders people for mocking someone's baldness. It must be justified that he can kill everyone except for the virgins. It must be justified that he can condone rape, slavery, all these horrible things. It must be condoned that he can literally wipe out our entire race, almost, and basically every race of animals and fish and all living things, just because we were moving away from him. It must be justified. Why? Because he is God. He is all loving. He is all righteousness. He is all holy. And if he were truly all powerful, he would kill me right now. I dare him to kill me right now. But you know what? The reality of the situation is he is not real. There is no evidence to suggest the fact that he is real. All the evidence that suggests that there is a God up there somewhere points just as strongly to the flying spaghetti monster. The flying spaghetti monster is just as plausible when you use the tactics that Christian evangelicals use. Intelligent design, the moral argument, all that stuff that the Christian evangelicals use against atheism applies just as well to the flying spaghetti monster. That's the truth of the situation. So yeah, I didn't get as pissed off this time as I did when I first listened to it. But what really pissed me off about it was the way that they, after the call ended, the way they continue to justify it, the way they continue to do this. And it just reeked so much of the way that these governments, these totalitarian governments operate. And they try so hard to justify the most vile of acts. And it's just purely despicable. I mean, I'm sure these people are you know what? The thing I'm really angry about isn't these people. I don't think these are bad people. I mean, I don't know this guy. I don't know the other guy. I don't know that guy. I don't know that guy. I'm sure that they're decent people. I'm sure that they've never hurt anyone. I'm sure they've never killed anybody. But the mindset that religion puts you in is what's despicable. The mindset that there can be this finite morality, that there can be this one being in the universe that is the definition of moral, of goodness, of righteousness. That concept, the concept that there's this one person in the universe who, and everything that person does is the definition of good. That is what I'm angry about. That's what all these different governments do. That's basically what Hitler did. That's what Stalin did. I mean, I can't really prove that, but that's the basic gist of what these people do. They set themselves up so high that they cannot do any wrong. And once you do that, once you create that finite morality, you are free to do whatever you want, regardless of how corrupt it is, regardless of how evil and wicked it is, regardless of how many people you kill, regardless of how many families you destroy. When you create finite morality, when one person, when any being becomes the definition of morality, they are completely free from moral responsibility. That is a massive problem. When that happens, people become these people. That's what happens, because once that happens, you are required to justify it. If you believe this religion, if you are in this mindset, if you're under this religion, you have no choice but to justify these things. You have no choice but to justify God. What did he do here? You have no choice but to justify God turning Lot's wife to salt. You have no choice but to justify 42 innocent children being murdered by a bear that God sent because they freaking made fun of a bald dude. I feel sorry for these people. Why can I not see the video anymore? Oh, this is that other video. I feel sorry for this dude, seriously, because he is forced by his religion to justify the most vile acts known to humanity. This guy is forced to justify a God torturing people in hell for eternity. I feel sorry for this dude. I used to be a Christian myself. Up until 2 years ago. My entire life I was a Christian, and I never really got into the evangelical stuff. I never really had to fight for my faith. And I didn't become an atheist because I watched some video, or because I started watching some TV show, or because I went to college. I didn't even go to college. I figured it out on my own, the same way I figured out that Santa Claus isn't real. I was kind of forced to leave the faith because of my life circumstances, and I realized that the world without God is no different than the world with God. And I did some searching of my own to figure out that to basically take off the blue glasses and realize that it's wrong for God to torture people for eternity. I mean, it really doesn't sound that difficult to an atheist to come to the realization that it's wrong to torture people, but for Christians it really is. It's really hard for Christians to look at this story of Eliseus and the 42 kids who got mauled by a bear. It's really hard for these people to look at that story and see evil. That's what religion does. Religion makes it impossible for you to tell the difference between right and wrong. The difference between right and wrong is not what God says it is. It's not what any one person says it is. No one person can tell you what is right and what is wrong. And people in religions don't understand that. What I think is important, what makes something right or wrong, in general at least, is the preservation of your species. I mean, that might make me a humanitarian, I don't know. But the key thing for me is preserving my species, preserving my family, the people I love, the people around me. That's what's key. If there's a God out there that wants to torture the people who are around me forever because they don't love him, that God is my enemy. I don't care who he is, who he thinks he is, what people say about him. If he wants to torture people forever, he is evil. He must be fought. I don't care who he is. You can't do that to humans. That's wrong. I don't care. You can tell me that I'm stealing God's morality for saying that. You can tell me I can't justify that morality without God, Frank Turek, but I'll justify it with my axe. I'll justify it with guns. You can't tell me that I can't justify that. I don't care if I can't justify it, because that's wrong. It might not be wrong to animals, it might not be wrong to God, but it's wrong to me. You cannot tell me that it's okay that I'm going to sit by and let people teach younger children that it's okay that their friends are going to get tortured forever for not loving God. That is not okay. That is not okay. It is not okay for God to be doing this crap. It is not okay. I mean, look at this number right here. How many has God killed? The number is 2.476 million people. And these are just the people who are actually numbered in the Old Testament and in the New Testament as being murdered by God. 2.4 million of our species was murdered by this being, at least according to this book. According to this book, this tyrant, this freaking psychopathic lunatic genocide doer murdered 2,476,635 human beings. I don't care what they did. It's not okay to murder people. Now, there might be some very extreme circumstances where it's okay, where you're forced to, but I'm pretty sure that's not what's going on here. And then, yeah, the devil below him, 10 people, that's just from Lot. And I think there's like one guy in the New Testament. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to make more videos on this specific thing, but I'm going to have a moment of silence for these people. Now, it's kind of hard to actually feel for these people because I don't think that any of this really happened, but just for the sake of what this number is, how big this number is, how many people who were supposedly murdered, I'm going to have a moment of silence for these people right now. The purpose of that was to show you that this religion is forcing people to believe things. This religion is taking away people's morality. If you can't look at this site and just read the Bible and not come away with the conclusion that it's wrong, that it's evil, that it's anti-human, then this religion has destroyed your sense of morality. You don't have a sense of morality anymore. What you're saying to this God is that I don't have any morality of my own. When I was born, I don't have any sense of morality. The only sense of morality I could possibly ever achieve is what you give me, and I have to do everything you say. That's what this religion does to people. That's what it did to me, and it is not okay. That's really all I have to say. This shit that these people are saying, this guy is saying. Let me find the other dude. Where's the other freaking clown? Where's that other dude at? There's another dude in here somewhere. This guy. The shit that this guy is saying. This is what these people don't have true morality. They have finite morality. That comes from this God who murders people. And it's wrong. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is, don't take your morality from anyone. Don't let anyone tell you what's right and wrong. That's what I'm trying to say. Do not let anyone tell you what's right and wrong. That comes from you. Don't let a religion tell you what's right and wrong. Don't let your friends tell you what's right or wrong. You decide what's right or wrong. You decide whether or not it's right that Eliseus was traveling to Bethel when a bunch of kids popped up, made fun of him for being bald, and God decided to send a bear after them and kill 42 freaking people for making fun of him for being bald. You decide whether or not that's right. Don't ask the Bible. You decide.